Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Ithorian herd ship. This is a class of massive city ships used by the Ithorians as a home away from home. They are based on the repulsor lift herd cities of the planet, but were enclosed for space travel. The ships travel through the galaxy on predetermined courses set by the herd, but return to Ilthor once every 3 years, in the event known as the herd meet. The Ithorians referred to the starships that docked aboard and remained with the herd ship for a time as good luck at this one. Pawethawi, I'm sure I'm murdering this one. All the kingdom come. A type of fungus that attached itself to the seed pods of the uh, Junitu tree, and I'm sure I'm messing that one up too. Uh, the name was only used privately among fellow Ithorians. An Ithorian city of Dubright on the planet Altorida, uh, Aura Terra, if I can say it correctly here, was located above the surface of the world on elevated platforms similar to traditional or to the tradition of Ilthorian herd ships. Okay, so really, this is the big write up that we have here on the Canon's Legends for Wikipedia. Of course, we always have our little extra stuff here that usually we get into doing our other stuff. Now, the sources that they're getting it from is from the Nexus of Power and Savage Spirits, is where it was first described, and Unlimited Power. Um, so that's where they're getting their information from. So when we look at the actual stats that we have, and this is coming from the Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels. Um, so the Ithorian Sky Yards herd ship from the Old Republic. This is capital scale, has a quote length of 1,800 meters, but this is a spherical ship. So think of it in that regard. So it's 180 meters across diameter. I believe that would be the correct way to say it. Uh, we have a crew of anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000. Um, and we can have about 10,000 passengers. We have a cargo capacity of 20,000 metric tons and enough consumables for 5 years. Has a hyperdrive of times two and a backup hyperdrive of times nine. So that's actually really respectable. Uh, of course, a ship like this is going to have a nav computer. Has a space of two because this is not a big fast ship. I mean, this is a massive city ship, so we're not looking at making any speed runs here. Um, we have a hull of 5D, so that is actually really respectable. And keep in mind, this is a capital scale and shields of 3D. The sensor packet that we have on the ship, we have passive scans that can go out to 4 kilometers at a 1D, an active scan, which is out to 6 kilometers at a 2D. We have a search at 12 kilometers at a 3D and a focus of 500 meters at a 4D. So really, this is a nice sensor packet for the city to be able to find whatever they're looking for. And something like this, they could be looking for maybe more minerals for mining, um, different life forms, or anything else in that regard. I mean, if you're going through close to asteroid belts, you could be trying to search for whatever minerals the mine to extract and either fix up the ship while you're in transit, or maybe they're manufacturing stuff. So there's always that opportunity there as well. Okay, so weapons for a civilian ship, really, to defend itself, we have 20 laser cannons. We have 5 on each, we'll say, arc. So 5 in the front, left, right, back. Um, has a fire control of 2D and has a damage of 4D. So not overly massive, but on the other hand, that's going against another capital scale. So keep that in mind. If we're shooting at starfighters, it's going to be 6D, but now our fire control is going to be a 0. Uh, because it's that size difference there. Okay, so tractor beam projectors, we have four of those, one on each side. Has a crew of three, has a fire control of 2D and damage of 5D plus 2. And there again, with a tractor beam, it's not so much that we're doing the damage, but it has that ability to grab hold of something and bring it in. And I will say it in this regards. Think of this a little bit more Star Trekish, okay? So you can grab a hold of a ship and bring it into a docking bay, or if someone's trying to flee and we don't need them to flee, we can grab a hold of that ship and bring it in. So that would be going against the ship's hull for trying to see if we actually end up tearing the ship apart, or if we can just safely bring it in. So we're looking at that, and that's where you really look at Star Wars and Star Trek not being too different in those regards. Um, you know, trying to think of how to properly say it. When they did the reboot for the movies with J.J. Abrams, he had said that Star Wars was always rock and roll, and Star Trek was kind of a symphony. So he wanted to bring a little bit more of the rock and roll when he did the reboot of Star Trek. Um, for me, I've always looked at it as when we're looking at Star Trek, we're looking at ships with bigger crews. I mean, I'm not thinking of like the Star Destroyer type crews. I mean, those are even bigger. But we have all the engineers, all the science, and all that stuff. So they're able to do different missions, completely different missions than what we typically have in Star Wars. In Star Wars, it was always a small group. Typically, they were on the Falcon or the Falcon and an X-wing, because Luke would be on his X-wing, and we'd have Han, Leia, and Chewie and Lando on the Falcon, or they went down to the planet or whatever. I mean, because it's really centering on this small little group. Now, and that's the way I've always looked at it, and that's where I kind of like it. So when we get into doing some Star Trek ships, I want you to keep that in mind. I'm used to having it as a small group. Now, there's ways to do the small group. Um, you could put them on some smaller ships or whatever else. I've heard plenty of other things where people can take this and then they could put it, you're stranded or whatever. But when you have a ship like this and you have, we don't see how many docking bays it has. If they have a big problem that they need to mine something. I mean, you have a lot of people here you could send out to mine an asteroid belt to get the required components, base components, to bring it in, melt it down, manufacture what you need to really fix your ship. Um, these are these big city ships that have that ability to them. You could almost say that in some regards, you could probably have a herd ship like this or a society, because I know that I think we had not the Ugnaughts. Um, we had hit one ship that was kind of out there. Um, Ugors, the battle wagon. Um, and there again, they're scavengers. So if they had a ship like this, they might even have a fleet facility so they can make ships for us. So when we talk about, if you want to bring anything into Star Wars, we have different opportunities we could do that. We have wonderful designs like this. Um, I'll throw in a couple of pictures here that I got off of just doing a Bing search. I believe they were posted up on, um, I think it was Reddit or something like that or whatever. And whoever designed these ships, I mean, they deserve the credit. They did the work. I don't do that work. So, whoever did those deserves the credit because they did some pretty good job uh, uh, at getting that stuff there. Um, and I know there was another picture we had here, and we'll get that put in. And that was um, kind of a layout of our ship, had kind of a schematic here, and we'll get that in here too, if I can figure out where I put it. I love it when I hide things on myself. Um, and it's one of those things of we get to see these wonderful ships, the different designs, the different takes on things, and it's always wonderful to be able to do that. Um, there we are. I think that should be it. Yep. All right. So we're going to do a little copy and paste here, and voila. All right. So trying to get this in here so it makes some sense, and we can kind of work this around. All right. So as you can see, um, we have a jungle ecology, great atrium. We have starship landing platforms going around here. So each one of these are supposed to be platforms going all the way around the little boxes here. And then we have botanical domes going in here. So we have all this area for different landing pads. Then we have the main city in the middle. This has a very, Star Trekish kind of feel to it in a lot of regards. We have a skyline up here, upper observation deck, platform flight decks, docking tubes, speeder landing bays, weather vanes, lower observation decks, repulsor banks. You know, this, like I said, has a very Star Trekish feel to it, and it's Star Wars. So um, when we look at this stuff, it doesn't mean you can't go back and forth and grab ideas from one genre to another, whether you like um, Star Wars, Star Trek, uh, Babylon 5, um, say EVE Online, any of the other online games, space games, or and I always tease my wife because my wife is one that kind of likes The Little House on the Prairie, and I'm science fiction. But it doesn't mean you can't end up in a planet that's like that. We can have a planet that is very much a time frame technology base of Little House on the Prairie. Or maybe we even have a ship like this where it has an area that is really set up like that. Um, the only limits are our imagination. Whatever we think of with Star Wars, whether you like this new series, you don't like the new series, however you like it, whatever, Star Wars can always live on in our own imaginations through the things that we have here. We can continue the stories that we don't get. Um, oops, I'm trying to do this here. Um, from Disney or whoever else may take over. Uh, all the novels that we had. I mean, somebody had the idea and came to George Lucas for this. It's up to us to keep this going, and we had kept this going in between having any of the movies, the novels, the whatever, the fan fiction, the whatever. We are the ones that are really the people keeping this alive, and it's our stories. It doesn't have to be a big canon thing. It can be a local story between you and your friends, and that's what can keep Star Wars going. That's what can keep Star Trek going. That's what can keep any of the other shows that, for whatever reason, is no longer on. Movies may not be being made, but that is what keeps all this going, and that's why I bring all this stuff to you because it's things that interest me. So if I can share what I know and my interests, maybe it sparks an interest in you for your games, for your listening enjoyment if you just like to listen to it, and that's fine. So here we are. With that, I hope you enjoy this series. I enjoy bringing it to you every day. Hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.